Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Defense spokesperson Major General John Enenche is our guest, and he's talking this evening about a number of things that the Army, the Defense Headquarters is currently carrying out. Let's talk about this Amnesty International's report. They have accused the Nigerian military of human rights abuses and brutality in dealing with the civil populace. Now, the military has denied this vehemently, but eventually we saw that the Chief of Army Staff set up a team, set up a panel to probe some of these allegations. Do you think that that's with benefit of hindsight, or why did they deny the charge first before setting up the probe panel?
Yes. Denying the charge or the accusation, like I told you earlier on, is based on facts and figures. First and foremost, let me tell you, I commanded a unit in Nigeria and also commanded outside the shores of this country. For every unit commander, down to the level of what we call the company, the tactical level, you keep a record of all your actions. By our training, we know that you can be held responsible for your actions or inactions. So, based on that, the army could confidently come out and say, look, what they accuse us of is not true. It was based on that, on records.
Even before an investigation has been...
Even before an investigation, you stand the right...
inaugurated?
Yes, you stand, you can stand and say, look, based on the information on my war records, my operational records, my operational diary, it is not true. However, in the case of probably maybe a soldier, an airman, or another personnel that was given permission to go out and commit an offense, it can be investigated. So, but that you will come and accuse the military as a block that they committed human rights abuses, either with detainees or with civilians, and meanwhile we have our war diary, we have our operational diary and all, it wasn't true and it's not true.
So what is this panel going to be finding out if it's to maintain that it's not true?
Yes, the panel will now find out if there are specific accusations against any personnel, any officer, any soldier. You call them, you get them, and then you look at the facts.
Well, some people say that this panel is only going to be finding things in favor of the military because, first of all, it consists mostly of military personnel.
It cannot be so. By our training, it cannot be so. And by international conventions, it cannot be so. It's a mindset. It's a premeditated thing. And that is why, for me, I'm also skeptical. Because whereby somebody will tell you, I did research in the field, and the sources are not authenticated. They cannot be verified. Hearsay that cannot be taken as evidence anywhere is still part of the propaganda to undermine our activities in the Northeast.
Are you accusing Amnesty International of peddling propaganda?
Well, it's not impossible. It's a normal thing. It's a normal thing. It's normal.
How do you view Amnesty International and the work that they do?
I view Amnesty internationally as an organization that should be unbiased. But with what is happening nationally, I am a bit reserved about their being unbiased.
You know that in recent times, they have come under attack. Their office in Abuja here has been occupied by a group. I think they call themselves, is it GoPri now? I'm trying to find the name of the Global Peace and Rescue Initiative. They're asking them to leave Nigeria. Is this the kind of action that the military wanted Nigerians to take when it asked Nigerians to, quote, rise up and stand against this subtle and increasing level of neo-colonialism?
You know, we have freedom of expression and freedom of action in this country. The military is not in control of the civilians. So we cannot control them and tell them, go and do this or not do that. That is it. So, and I will not say that the military is interested in what the group is doing. The military stands to take instructions from the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, and is to protect lives and property. But me and you, we agree that there's a limit to which you can control a human being who is on his own. You have your right of action, right of expression. And I think that is what is happening.
Some human rights activists believe that this group is a rented group.
Well, except, like me, like I told you, except if it is proved. If it is not proved, then it may be wrong.
Let's talk a bit more about this panel. You know, there have been allegations that, well, not allegations, but there are fears that this panel, consisting heavily of military personnel, going to investigate alleged abuses against the civil populace in the southeast, in the northeast of the country as well. They believe that perhaps they're also not balanced ethnically. They
are balanced. You see, normally in the military, there's what we balance up our quota in everything. You discover that in that panel, well, the name of the retired general heading the panel is not Jibrin, it's not hidden. But if you look at the composition, it represents all the geopolitical parts of this country. Then, let me go back to another.
You say it represents all the geopolitical parts?
It should, yeah.
It should?
Yeah.
I'm looking for a name from the southeast here. I can't find any. I'm seeing here Major General Ahmed Jibrin, retired Brigadier General Dadan Garba, retired Brigadier General Abdulkadir Gumi, Brigadier General O.L. Olayinka, Colonel L.B. Mohammed, Colonel U.M. Wambai. And Lieutenant Colonel C.M. Akiliro is the secretary.
Okay, Akiliro.
Which one of them is from the southeast?
So if you look at it, it sometimes may not be easy. What I told you earlier on is as much as possible, you try to cover all the geopolitical zones. But for exigency of duties, you may not get all of them represented. And if a good number of them are represented, I think that goes to standard look. It's fair enough.
You don't think it's important to have a name, at least from the southeast, specifically?
Well, it is desirable, but whereby it is not possible to have them because of exigency of duties.
How impossible is that?
Yes, it can be impossible. I have been in situations whereby you needed to get one person, even from a geopolitical zone, for an assignment, and you wouldn't get because they are not available.
So we're seeing increasingly, in some instances, military men, especially at the lower rung, being involved in abuse of civilian populace. I think in Lagos we saw in 2 instances military men beating up women. Another instance is a military man was said to have beat up a policewoman. We saw in the southeast military men beating up a disabled person who was begging for wearing camouflage. I mean, we've seen all of these instances, the military having to come out to apologize for the actions of these people.
What happened what was the aftermath of all this? The various commanders came out and condemned the actions of the very few negligible that took these actions. And as I speak, there are various boards of inquiry to recommend appropriate sanctions against those personnel. You see, there is what we call a DOBA. It's held on weekly basis as much as the situation and the condition permits, whereby you rub minds as a commanding officer, the officer commanding with the troops, and then to remind them of the various rules and regulations. We are bound by the civil law, and we are also bound by military law and international conventions. So that is being done. Well,
Major General John Enenche, at this point, I must say thank you for coming on Hard Copy.
Thank you.
We wish you all the best.
Thank you.
In your new assignment.
Thank you.
Well, that's the show today. Mails and comments are welcome to Hard Copy at channelstv.com and at CityV Hard Copy. Thank you for watching. I'm Mal Bayogun. See you next week.